The imaging isn't the problem, we were told by the Twitter sphere and the mainstream media. America just loves white supremacy. That was the excuse they gave for Virginia voters electing this man, that his racist dog whistles to his white supremacist base were what got him elected, conveniently overlooking the fact that this same racist, rebel flag group of Klansmen that elected Glenn Youngkin also elected this woman as lieutenant governor, a historical first for the state of Virginia. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm thinking, sorry about your narrative there, Sparky. The opinions expressed by the Reverend are his own and no one else's on the planet. Not friends, not foes, not supporters, not detractors, not sponsors, and certainly not employers. They have been adjudicated thought crime in all jurisdictions. Consider yourself warned. They're coming from the heart. They are guided by the mind. They are guaranteed to choke you with a big fat dose of the truth cock. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time once again for the Sunday sermon. Appreciate y'all being here. We got Emmy on board, waiting for the rest of us to join us. All the platforms are up and rolling. Everybody in for the drum roll. Give us some energy, people. Donna checking in with us. Hello, Donna. Nice to have you on board, man. Getting here early, right out of the starting gate. Rolling with the same bumper music as always. You guys already know the drill if you've been here for any length of time. A band called Red Desert from the smoldering embers of the ruins of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Name of the track is Older No Wiser. Every week I get a little bit older. Every week you guys get to decide if I've gotten any wiser. Some weeks I do better than others. Got some stuff to get in here. Michael Smith jumping on board early. Good to see you. Damon and the missus. Hello, hello. Nice to have you all on board. Emmy, of course. Good to see you as always, Mama. One of the OG Center Sisters, man. Been with me since, good Lord, 1995? Wow. I think we're both getting old, and I think I just dated both of us. Sorry, but it happens. Mike Smith on board. Good that you're here, brother. I try to bring the same energy here that I bring to the fight shows when I'm MCing. Some days I do better than others, man. We got Wayne Sharp on board, reaching all the way back to my high school days. Been missing seeing your brother around too, man. We need to get Larry back on here as well. I mean, the more the merrier, man. Just taking me back to my roots. You guys have known me long enough to know that this insanity didn't just start anytime recently, that the seeds for this were planted back in my high school days. So it's nice to have witnesses to vet that. Scott Thompson on board. Hey, man, welcome. G-Dub. Appreciate you, brother. On a number of levels. Number one, you turned a lot of people onto the program, and number two, you're offering a lot of perspective from the trucker perspective. G-Dub is OTR. He's out there on the road, man, more or less outlaw trucker. I don't know how to play with that definition, but I don't think he wins in being described like that. But he's out there, and he knows the power that the truckers have to shut this whole thing down, and it's always interesting getting his perspective as another blue-collar guy out there making the country work, while our leaders and authority figures run the fucker into the ground. We're out here trying to make shit happen. Kurt, fuck Antifa. Man, I was in Portland last night, Kurt. I walked around downtown with my shillelagh, which is Irish for big fucking stick, and a nice little hoodie with No Lives Matter on it. Nobody take me up on it. I walked around all day in Seattle the day before. I got a couple of bristly looks and I got a couple of that. Nobody would step because they're gutless. I figured the cane would be like bait. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he's just a fat old cripple. We can beat him up. Nobody wanted to take me up on it, man. Must have been the guns, baby. Must have been the guns. Tommy, good to have you on board, man. We're going to roll with this thing. I'm going to fade the bumper music out. We're going to jump into this. Got a few things to go over inside and outside of the usual stuff. You guys saw the opening banners. You guys know what's going on in Virginia. We're going to get into that a little bit. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't cover the bizarre judicial phenomena that is the Kyle Rittenhouse trial going on right now. I know Billy is probably not watching this. Billy D. Washington, one of my favorite live comics, good friend of mine from down in Houston, known the man for years, have nothing but respect for him, have nothing but respect for his comedic skills. But we made a friendly little bet at the start of this trial, and I already know I'm going to win. So, Billy, just so you know, I've already bought the fucking watch. I've already bought it. I'm thinking it is a preemptive thing that when I win this bet and Rittenhouse walks, that you'll just, you'll cut me the check and everything will be in balance. But this is how confident I am right now, buddy. What time is it? What time is it, Billy? Time for Rittenhouse to walk. YouTube from your bed. Are you asleep, Ryan? Jesus, man. Are you asleep? Or are you sick? You better not be sick, man. I can't have my A-list crew fucking going down on me now. Nah, man, don't be dropping. Yeah, Greg, I do need a Let's Go Brandon shirt for Portland. I think it fly right over. It was interesting, man. I was in a comedy club, and a lot of people bristled, but again, nobody stepped. Days off. Oh, okay, good, man. Good. Enjoy those by all means. And since Ryan is on board, let's go ahead and knock this segment out real quick. I want to give sponsor shout outs real quick, because if I get sidetracked, I will forget about those guys, and I don't want to miss out on that. First of all, shout out to Roman and Allie and Roxy and the bevy of beautiful women, including Miss Carrie over at opiumtales.com. They are the erotic pinups and portraits people. You have beautiful naked women and testosterone-driven commentary. I am all about all of the above. So you can check them out on opiumtales.com. Jack Boots Dorsey finally kicked him off the Twitter format, so you can't find him there anymore. You got to go straight to opiumtales.com. And as always, got to give a shout-out to my Viking brothers, Casey and Dusty Tellison from Nordic Smoke Barbecue, the only legit barbecue in the Inland Northwest. You can think that there may be some other legit barbecue in the Inland Northwest, but you would be abjectly misled in that assessment. Yeah, I'm rattling off I got like 3 college words. I figured I'd just rattle them off right here at the beginning and get them out of the way so I can go back to monosyllables and grunt like the big dumb muscle head everyone expected. Anyway, yeah, so there's that. Please go see them. They've got the Viking Long Ship, the big smoker truck out at American Gun and Pawn every Thursday, start at 11 and serve till it runs out. They're amazing. Go fucking see them. And Casey and Dusty, if you're watching, I need to get with you guys. We need to make some arrangements for the holiday turkey a couple weeks out, because with supply shortages and all that good stuff, well, a lot of good lunk alarm. That was clever, buddy. That was clever. Yeah. Oh, Donna. Well, I'm sorry that you have to run, Donna. I'd love for you to be able to hang out. Ariella on board, Joel, lunk alarm. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's why I'll never set foot in a Planet Fitness. And remind me, Greg, I need to go over, because I actually have a whole rant about how Planet Fitness is the perfect gym for Gen Z. Remind me in a personal message, and I'll hit it one of these Sundays, man. But let's jump in, shall we? Since I know we got Ryan on board, click over here to the controls, and we shall take a little dip down Ryan's rabbit hole. Where's my sound effect? There we go. Here we go. Yes. Apply sound effect. Much lauded Ryan's rabbit hole segment. Another poke into your intellectual and possibly spiritual blood oven. Give you another little something to roll around in your brain. This one we're not doing this week we're not doing an individual. This week we are doing a concept, and that concept is logical holism. And I am going to leave it to you to see how far you want to go down this, because right now I could probably drink a big fat cup of mushroom tea and rant for 3 hours on this, but we're not going to go that far down. But in short, logical holism is the belief that the world operates in such a way that no individual part of the world can be understood without understanding the whole. Okay. So logical holism, that's the basis of the belief right there. That's the basis of the philosophy. Um, Heidegger, Martin Heidegger worked with it on a practical level more so than a theoretical level. But you can look up Pierre Duham's work on the theoretical aspects of it as well. It's a heavy fucking concept, and it's one of those things best discussed over psychedelics with somebody of a similar intellect. And again, I got to give it up to Ryan, because the first time you look at a guy like me or Ryan, you don't think, wow, this is a guy who I'm going to carry on a long philosophical conversation with. And then you find out the hard way, and it's always amusing too. And I'm sure Ryan has dealt with this, where people make that assumption and then it becomes painful and embarrassing. So yeah, don't make assumptions when you look at big tattooed testosterone driven creatures like ourselves. Don't make assumptions, my friend, because we will clown you on an intellectual level and then kick your ass. So don't make it painful and embarrassing for yourself. Anyway, so that is the rabbit hole for the week, and I want you guys to take that as it plays into your own reality construct, either from the philosophical sense or from the theoretical sense. You guys take that and run with it. Logical holism. Look into it and be prepared, because it's going to open some doors for you. It's going to open some doors of which Aldous Huxley would probably be proud for you to have opened. And I'm just going to wing that little Huxley reference out and then move right along, because I know some of you out there get it, and the ones that don't, well, hopefully you'll stumble upon it yourself. So anyway, I appreciate Ryan as always. I appreciate Ryan as always, fucking just giving us some really heavy, really heavy mental candy to process before we jump into the stuff that is more tangible, in our face, everyday kind of stuff. Because again, it's real easy to get caught up in the day-to-day stuff and get distracted from the fact that we're all creatures of consciousness, that according to some theories, we are all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively, on and on and on. There are heavier things that have taken us to higher intellectual and higher philosophical constructs. And a lot of times we get so bogged down in the day-to-day stuff, because the world is so fucked up and life is coming at you fast, that we forget these things. And I believe that if we completely abandon sight of those higher intellectual and philosophical constructs, that eventually it contributes to our dumbing down as a species. Obviously, that's not the intent, when we get focused on the day-to-day stuff, because the day-to-day stuff has to be dealt with, but ultimately that does wind up being a net effect. So one of the cool things about these obscure little rabbit holes is it gives us a reason, and it gives us a reason and an item to explore, to take us out of ourselves for a minute without necessarily having to put that sugar cube on your tongue. Not that I have any problem with those special sugar cubes, because they're fucking magical, and we all know how I feel about psychedelics. So anyway, we got Ryan's rabbit hole for the week, and we're going to let you guys roll down that. I'll touch very briefly on the Virginia governor's race here in a little bit. But the first thing that I want to get into is the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. Now, you guys know, get a little swig of liquid enthusiasm to carry me through this one, because this one's a bit of a scorcher. A bit of a scorcher for me personally, because I took a look at it, and with my experience in the combatives fields and my experience with training, both armed and unarmed, over the years, I understand where a lot of the grazers at home watching the video of what unfolded with Kyle Rittenhouse, I understand how a lot of the grazers watching from home would not pick up on the nuances, would not pick up on what they were actually watching, and thus could be easily persuaded that these were the actions of a vigilante. They didn't know what they were looking at because they don't fucking have eyes for it. Okay. There are, plus, in addition to that, there is the factor that they are already given to that preconceived narrative, which is leftist violence is protected speech, and words coming from the other side are violence. Anything that their side does, including burning the city of Kenosha, Wisconsin, because a cop shot a rapist. And can we go ahead and say that, since we're in the preface mode? A cop, long story short, the Reverend's abbreviated version, and I'm going to boil it down to the relevant details and get you away from all the distractions that the mainstream narrative wants to throw out about vigilantism and systemic racism, this, that, and the other thing, police violence, whether or not the right to keep and bear arms is a net negative because of incidents, yada, yada, yada. We could go on that forever. Let me just boil it down to its essential components, okay? Cops shot a rapist. Let me try again. Rewind. Let's try again. Cops shot an armed rapist. Leftist maggots set the city of Kenosha, Wisconsin on fire. Kyle showed up to protect one business in particular. The aforementioned maggots tried to push a burning dumpster into gas pumps. Kyle prevented them from doing so, angering the maggot mob, as they are prone to react when anything they do gets headed off, because, God damn it, we are the maggot mob and our hearts are in the right place, whatever. They were prevented from pushing the flaming dumpster into the gas pumps. Kyle was singled out by the crowd. In my opinion, this part is speculation. Everything that I stated before are facts. Documentable, verifiable ODP facts. ODP, hashtag ODP. Objectively, demonstrably, provably, or objective, demonstrable, provable. ODP facts. Everything that I've stated up until this point, these are all documented facts. Now, I will offer this speculation that the reason why Kyle was singled out by the maggot mob was the fact that he is 5'3" and about 135 pounds soaking wet right out of the shower, not counting tactical gear, of course. That's why they singled him out. They had a chance to confront him when they were surrounded by superior numbers. They did not do so because maggot mob. They had a chance to step to larger members of the group that was there to protect this business from vandalism. They opted not to do so because maggot mob. Let me say it again for those of you keeping track at home. Antifa, with one notable exception, Jeff Munson, I'm looking at you, with the notable exception of Jeff Munson, Antifa are weak, spineless, gutless maggots, with one exception. That one exception being Jeff Munson. If you are not Jeff Munson and you are representing Antifa, I am speaking directly to you. You are a gutless, spineless, ballless, soulless fucking maggot. No guts. The only time they will ever attack is if it is 4-on-1, or in this particular case in Kenosha, Wisconsin, as I am speculating this particular facet, they singled Kyle out and they ran him down because he was small. He was armed. Bad fucking move for the maggot mob to chase down an armed guy, but they didn't think armed. They thought small. And as several of them vocalized during the attack, you ain't gonna do shit, N-word. You ain't gonna do shit. Yeah. And then, as was testified to this week, one of them said, "Fuck you," and reached for the gun. FAFO, boys and girls, he fucked around and he found out. Two of them lost their lives that night. Both of whom, one of whom was a child sex offender, both of whom were violent felons. Excuse me, let me get back to ODP. Both of the ones that lost their lives that night, both of the maggots that lost their lives that night were ODP convicted violent felons. Okay. One of them was convicted of sexual assault of a child, a minor. Okay, if we want to pick nits about, well, technically it's not a child because the child in question was 13 years old, and yeah, okay, fine. If you're really going to run interference like that, Sparky, I can't help you. You're committed to the narrative, and there's no further need for discussion here. The third ran up and he tried to do what I call the Ollie oxen free defense, which is to say, and this was documented on video, and this was testified to by a number of witnesses at trial. He ran up on Kyle with a loaded gun on his hip, right? He ran up on Kyle. Kyle turned to face him, raised the weapon, and because Kyle had one of the most amazing displays, not only of coordination, but trigger discipline that I've ever seen, even from grown-ups that are extensively trained, he raised that weapon, and the third maggot played the Ollie Oxenfree defense. He threw his hands in the air. Ollie Oxenfree, oh, my hands are up, you can't shoot me. And as soon as Kyle turned away, because maggot mob, because Antifa, as soon as Kyle lowered the weapon and started to turn away, he went for his own weapon, raised it to Kyle, pointed it at his head. Kyle spun back around and beat him to the trigger, blowing off the entirety of his right bicep. It was beautiful. I am glad that it happened. I will not shed a tear for any of the three maggots. The two that lost their lives are the one who's a little unarmed now. Yeah. I'm going to show about as much sympathy for them as they would have for Kyle if their attack on Kyle Rittenhouse had been successful. Here's some other ODP facts about the Kyle Rittenhouse incident. When they first lit on him, he retreated. He continued to retreat while being pursued. He got backed into a corner. The guy yelled, "Fuck you," and reached for the weapon after backing Kyle into the corner. And at that point, he fired. After the first shot, the rest of the maggot mob, because mob, said, "He's an active shooter. Kill him, kill him, kill him. He just shot that guy. Kill him, kill him, kill him." And they ran him down. What did Kyle do? I can tell you what I would have done. And this is why I am more than inclined to give Kyle Rittenhouse the benefit of the doubt in this particular case. I can tell you what I would have done. After I dropped the first maggot, I would have put my back against something solid and I would have stood my ground. Why? Because I'm old, fat, and crippled and can't run. Okay. And I would have put that in front of any jury as legitimate self-defense. Once the first engagement was there and the guy had reached for my weapon and I had been compelled to shoot him in self-defense, I would have put my back against something solid and stood my ground. Anybody comes within 6 feet is going to wind up on the pile with this asshole. That's what I would have done. Full disclosure. All right. I say that not to boast about my own performance. If anything, I am disparaging my own capabilities. What I am highlighting is the fact that Kyle, after firing the first one, continued to retreat in an effort to find police and defuse the entire thing. We saw this at a similar demonstration in Seattle last year. And if somebody can find that and send me a copy of the video, I'd really very much appreciate it. But the maggot mob moved in on one person's motor vehicle and he got out brandishing a handgun. And he waved the handgun at everybody close to him because all he wanted was to find the cops and defuse the situation. They were mobbing his car. They were going to do serious physical injury to the man until the gun came out. He swept through the crowd, looking for cops. Here's some cops. Cool. Drops the gun. Take me. Put me in cuffs. I'm trying to get away from these fucking lunatics. But I slid to the side for a minute. I went off on a tangent, and that's so out of character for me. So out of character. Anyhow, Rittenhouse, he retreated. He ran. They caught up with him again. He tripped and fell. One guy smashed him in the head with a skateboard. Another guy tried to jump kick him in the head. Another guy ran up on him, turned to face and ran up to attack him. Kyle put one in this guy's fucking torso. Bang, he drops. Third guy runs up. As I said, this guy who's now been disarmed never gets old. He ran up on Kyle. It was clear that he intended to shoot Kyle with that handgun. He ran right up on him. And then when Kyle turned, ollie, oxen free. As soon as Kyle turned away again, he whips out the handgun. He was going to murder him, execution style. He's even said as much. This maggot in question, the one that survived, basically stated, quote, unfucking quote, my only regret is that I didn't get to bleed him out. I don't think he necessarily said bleed him out, but made it abundantly clear that he had intended to shoot him. Now, I don't know how much of the trial you guys have been able to watch. I've tried to stay on top of it as much as humanly possible. That's pretty good, George. I like that. Oh yeah, wow. How about that? Hey, good catch, Carrie. Sorry about that. Oh my goodness, look at that. Yep, that's what happens when I get. That's what happens when we get when we wind up getting ahead of ourselves on the production screen. Good catch, though. Good catch. Sorry, guys. I am still learning my way around this StreamYard thing, and there are going to periodically be hiccups like that. There we go. Is that a little bit better? Cool. Sorry. Good catch, Carrie. Thank you. Thank you for being on point. In fact, when I finally get enough of a budget that I can hire a producer, I might look you up. I've tried to keep up with the trial, at least do a thorough review every night when I get off work. As you guys know, I'm out here on a job site. I'm a crane operator. I work. I don't have Tim Pool kind of time where I can sit and review this stuff, on a consistent basis, for 3 or 4 hours in a day. But I've given it a thorough review, at least an hour to an hour and a half every night, catching the actual testimony from the YouTube replay, not listening to Carlson, not listening to that Maddow guy, or any of those people. I want to hear the testimony myself. I want to see it. And what I have seen with my own eyes, particularly in the opening statements, is that the prosecution essentially did the defense's work for them. And that has pretty much been the case every fucking day of the trial. Every witness that the prosecution presents winds up making the case for the defense, no matter how inadvertently. That's just how it's playing out. And in the long run, this is ultimately not going to persuade the jury to vote guilty on homicide. The gun charge may stand. Let's just admit that right off the bat. There are technicalities involved, and the mainstream media is feeding you bullshit. There is nothing illegal about somebody taking a gun across state lines in and of itself. There's nothing illegal about that. In the state of Wisconsin, as long as you have clearance from the owner, it is not technically illegal for a minor to be in possession of a long gun, just not a handgun. So there are technicalities, but in all likelihood, the weapons charge is going to stand. But the main charges, the homicide, the attempted murder, all of these things, no way, not going to hold up. The only possibility that it could hold up is intimidation of the jury. And I'm going to go into that, how NPR is coloring the trial. This is NPR in the official narrative, what they're trying to convince the grazer masses of. 4 takeaways from the first week of the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, because we don't want you thinking for yourself and watching this. We're going to give you the takeaways. Pivotal testimony about the first shooting came from a video producer at a right-wing news site. So we're told that we can't. Let me just process this through lefty filter and lefty speak, or news speak. More to the point, pivotal testimony about the first shooting came from a video producer at a right-wing news site. So basically, his testimony, which includes video of the actual incident, cannot be trusted because he's a video producer at a right-wing news site. They're not accusing him of doctoring the video. They're not suggesting even remotely that what is depicted on the video isn't accurate. They're just saying you can't take his testimony seriously because he's a video producer at a right-wing news site. Two other armed men who came to Kenosha that night were also key witnesses. So I can only see one way where this would be important, and that is a guy who claimed to see Kyle as a brother. He claimed to see Kyle as a brother and then testified against him. Why? Because he's being charged on his own set of weapons charges and he's trying to duck out. I see Kyle as a brother, man. He's been like a brother to me. And yet you sit here on the witness stand and you're selling him out. Which is it, Sparky? Because you can't have both. One or the other. Pick a side. DA cut him a deal. Videos have played a prominent role, including never-before-seen FBI infrared footage. This is NPR trying to make that sound sinister, as if showing video of what actually happened is somehow detrimental to the case, somehow makes it unfair, because they outright suggested this. And again, never before seen FBI infrared footage. Here's the question about the FBI footage. They had this drone footage from overhead in Kenosha. Night vision, drone footage of the entire fucking thing. They were overlooking the entire fucking riot, including the fires. They knew what was going on. So, if the FBI is flying drones over the areas where these things are going on, you're going to tell me that you can single out the one kid who fired in self-defense, but somehow you're unable to identify the entire mob of motherfuckers that are lighting the fires in the first place. Little inconsistency there, Sparky. Just throwing it out. Yes, videos have played a prominent role, including never-before-seen FBI infrared footage from above. The judge, and this is the fourth takeaway, the judge is not taking risks with the jury and with public confidence. He dismissed one of the 20 jurors for making a joke about Jacob Blake. He said that the people that got shot could not be referred to as victims. He dismissed another potential juror for the other side who he caught saying that, and this was a woman who the judge caught saying on social media that she would find Kyle guilty on all counts because he was using an AR-15 and those type of weapons should be banned. Yeah, she outright said that on social media, and she came this close to making the jury. I have been foreman on a jury before in Houston, Texas, on a felony aggravated robbery case. I will tell you that from the jury selection process, because I had to dumb myself down as if I had no emotions of my own just to get on this jury, because I wanted to be on this jury, because I wanted to see what the jury process was about. Having gone through that experience, I am terrified. Absolutely, mortally, abjectly terrified at the prospect of my fate ever being left in the hands of a jury for reasons exactly like this. These people are activists. This woman nearly got on the jury before they discovered a little thing on social media that she left right after the shooting saying that she would find him guilty on all counts because he had an AR-15. This is the kind of stuff that happens, folks. But again, the video. Here's why them lamenting the video is both telling and baffling. They are lamenting the importance of the video testimony, as if, again, Don't believe your own lying eyes. We have a whole narrative created for you. This is the mindset of these people now. This is what their narrative and their mindset have evolved into. The entire opening argument, and anybody who is out there in the comments that went back and watched the replay, anybody that went through and watched that will back me up on this. The prosecution spent the entire opening arguments appealing to emotion. Kyle is a vigilante, the only guy in that whole demonstration that shot anyone. Guns, violence, racism. You got just appealing not one fucking exhibit of evidence. Not one. Every argument was appealing directly to the emotions of the jury. Then the defense came out and presented, I think the final count was 30 odd exhibits. And the prosecution, when the defense said, I will be presenting this list of things, lost their fucking mind. Hey, wait a minute. I didn't present any evidence, so he shouldn't get to. That was legitimately the prosecution's argument. Look it up. I'm not making this up. That was legitimately his argument. Well, I didn't present any physical evidence, so why does he get to? You didn't present any physical evidence because all the physical evidence, Mr. Prosecutor, proves that you are wrong. Sit down, shut up, you're wrong. That's why you didn't present any evidence. And you resent the fact, again, that same leftist ethic. We can't win in the marketplace of ideas, so we're just going to shut you down. We can't win in presentation of evidence because the facts don't support our case. So we're just going to try to make it where you can't present a factual argument. We're going to shut you down. They've lost. They've lost. Not only have they lost the plot, they've lost their minds, and they're going to lose this case. One caveat, and this is the one that I'm worried about, because the mainstream media is already making noises about it. And that is to say that, as was the case with the Derek Chauvin trial, and you can say whatever you want about St. Floyd of, the Church of Fentanyl. You can say whatever you want about the man. I don't care. It is a salient ODP fact that members of that jury were intimidated. They might not have copped to it. Several of them did. But even the ones that didn't cop to it, they were intimidated. Why? Because they saw their city in flames. This is the power of the mob. This is why, for the longest time, they were winning the culture war, because they know how to generate fear and they know how to stay on message, which leads me to some lessons that we can learn, and that'll be the next segment. But I will close the Rittenhouse portion of the program with this. I hope the kid walks. I believe that he's going to walk. And after looking at the testimony, the only way he doesn't walk is if the jurors are afraid of the mob. But I don't believe it'll turn out that way, because Kyle's very actions show to the jurors that they don't have to be afraid of the mob anymore. There's a lesson we can all take from the experience of young Kyle Rittenhouse. Offer up prayers for the man. And I've kicked a couple $100 down to his defense fund since this whole thing started. I think he's going to walk. And I think his most powerful legacy out of all of it is leaving us the lesson that I just listed, that we don't have to be afraid of the mob anymore. All it took was one guy. Oddly enough, the smallest guy in the entire fucking crowd. One guy, 5'3", 130 pounds, soaking wet, ran through that crowd with a rifle, did not hit one innocent human being, did not discharge one unnecessary round, addressed only the threats that were right in front of him. He performed not just admirably, but in exemplary fashion. Kid should be proud of himself. Kid should be on a fucking statue. But that's me. Let's move on, shall we? Here is the strength that the left is coasting on. The strength that the left is coasting on, and the reason why they are winning the cultural war on so many levels, is based a lot around the rules of a certain fellow named Saul Alinsky. Now, Saul Alinsky was a hard leftist radical. He was a communist. Let's just call it what it is. But Rules for Radicals has been a guidebook for miscreant leftist scumbags pretty much ever since it came out. In the same way that Che Guevara's guerrilla warfare has been a manual for that aspect of the militant left ever since it was released. Here is where we on the right collectively shoot ourselves in the foot. We don't take the wisdom from our enemies when our enemies have shown us how to win. Hear me out on this one. Why is their propaganda game so effective? Why? Because they are able to consistently stay on message. No matter what. They don't break from the ranks, and they don't break from the narrative. More importantly, they don't break from the narrative. The only time you will see the left eating itself, eating their own, as it were, is when one of their number breaks from the narrative. And the problem with the narrative is there's ever-shifting goalposts. What was left and radical enough 3 days ago might not be left and radical enough today. They shift the goalposts more often than Fauci does. But you keep up with the narrative, and the party as a whole manages to stick to the narrative. And as long as they stick to the narrative and they stay on message, they keep fucking winning. So what are Alinsky's principles and what can we learn, right? That's the name of the book. I'll let you guys write that down. You guys can look it up if you haven't read it. I've had a copy on my bookshelf forever. Because again, you got to be able to learn from your enemies. Here's the major principles. And I won't go deep into all of them, but I'll touch on them briefly and show you what we can learn from each and every one of these principles. Principle number 1, power is not only what you have, but what the enemy thinks you have. Now, here's something we have on fucking lock that we haven't been playing to our advantage because we've been playing nice. You see, it's not what we're holding. We know what we're holding. We know that we're holding the numbers. We know that we're holding the will of the American working public. We know that. We know that we hold the truth. And we know that we hold the guns. This is what we have. What many of the enemy think that we have is a random propensity. They are correct in assessing that we have a skill at violence across the board greater than theirs. They are correct in that assessment. What we do not possess, that they are constantly projecting on us, is the will to engage in that violence at any time at the drop of a hat. Maybe if a few skulls got split, they might be a little more hesitant. Their mobs would even have to get bigger. But it's not what we have, it's what we can convince them that we have. And right now, their morale has never been lower. Here's what else we have. We have a new seat in the Virginia governor's mansion. We have the will of parents all over the fucking country who have had enough of critical race theory, who have had enough of vaccine mandates, who have, again, they've just had enough across the board. That's something else that we have. And what they think we have, and only time will tell if that is accurate, is the ability to capitalize on that. So I suggest that we get out and do it. Strike while the iron is hot. Realize that we are winning for the first time in fucking years. Quit fucking whining and take the fight to them. Rule number 2. Never go outside the expertise of your people. Damn straight. Damn straight. Well, that's kind of difficult because they control every major institution in the United States right now. They control the media. They control academia. They control all of these things. How do we not go outside the expertise of our people and be able to go take a look at what Bongino is doing with fucking Dave Rubin right now? They are building a parallel economy in the marketplace of ideas. We cannot take them head on in tech. They already own it. They own Google. They own YouTube. They own every fucking platform that I'm speaking on right now. We can't afford to take it to them on that level. But within the expertise of our people, we've got coders that can build parallel platforms and parallel economies in the marketplace of ideas. Roman, I know you hear me. Rule number 3, whenever possible, go outside the expertise of the enemy. Yes. Here's the rule that we need to take to heart, boys and girls. Because the one thing that they're not good at, one thing that they can't handle beyond anything else is us not playing their fucking games. They expect us to do that strike and ambush bullshit that they do, but go outside of their expertise. When we face them at fucking demonstrations, just keep walking. Just keep walking and laugh. The man puts his hands to you. You see that he ends up in a fucking cemetery. But always try to go outside the expertise of the enemy. And that plays back into rule number 2. Things that Bongino and Rubin are doing, putting locals together with Rumble and building that parallel, right? They can't touch us outside of that. They own the delivery systems. Google, Facebook. They own the algorithms. They own the delivery systems. We own the truth. And that's where we are outside their expertise and their wheelhouse. Make the enemy live up to its own book of rules. Are we going to suggest that we hold Antifa to their tolerant rhetoric? Because we all know that's not going to happen. We all know that's not going to happen. But treat them the same way that they treat you. You live up. You pick the fight. We, for years, and it's been counterproductive for us, for years we have tried to capitalize on intellectual discourse. There is no discourse with people that want you dead. So, this is your book of rules. You picked a fight. What have I always said? I'm down for a discussion or I'm down for a fight. Just let me know ahead of time what I'm showing up for so I'm dressed appropriately. You guys have heard me say that. It's a bardism, practically, by this point. They decided they want to fight. Referring back to the previous rules, we already know that that's getting outside their wheelhouse. That's getting outside their area of expertise. And we shouldn't feel any shame about stepping up and bringing these motherfuckers down anymore. Kyle Rittenhouse shouldn't feel any fucking shame about what he did, even if he didn't know the kind of people that he was taking out of the gene pool. In retrospect, he ought to feel good about it. But in the moment, all he knew was they were trying to kill him. Okay, that's their book of rules. We picked the fight. We're starting riots. We're burning cities. We're the revolution, motherfuckers. We're here to fight. Okay. Make them live up to their own book of rules. Now, here's a really important one. Ridicule. Ridicule. You ready for this? Is man's most potent weapon. There are more tactics than this, but I'm going to stop at 5 because the first 5 are the ones that are really, really important. Somebody's going to pop in right now in the broadcast and be like, what the fuck? The Reverend is quoting a communist. I don't know if I'm comfortable with this. Yeah, you probably shouldn't be. Ridicule. Salient point. is man's most potent weapon. There is no defense. It is almost impossible to counterattack ridicule. Also, it infuriates the opposition who then react to your advantage. How many years did they play that on the Jesus Junkies? Those on the conservative side that because of their religious notions had lost their sense of humor. You notice that the left isn't funny anymore? They don't make jokes. They proselytize. They don't make jokes. They spread propaganda and they try to put a punchline in it. It's horrible. Leftist humor, fucking terrible. Woke humor, horrible. Most mainstream comedians, because they're afraid to offend the left. Fucking shit. If it wasn't for Bill Burr and Dave Chappelle right now, we would have already lost comedy. Ridicule. That's where we need to be. Did anybody see the Stephen Colbert vaccine dancer bit? Cringe as fuck, right? All the skits. Fuck the SNL skit this weekend where newly elected Lieutenant Governor Winsome in fucking Virginia, they made fun of her. Was any of that funny? Said that she was they had a picture that I showed earlier of her with the AR-15. The SNL guy said she was attempting to commit suicide by cop. There's nothing funny about that. Now that these people have gone so far fucking left, ridicule. Throw it back in their face. Laugh at them. Laugh at them. Because that's what they deserve right now is laughter and derision. Again, what, man, we should be laughing. We should be fighting. Dude, we've always got this. This will always be here for us. The knuckles will always be an option for us. If it comes to the fight, we win. But before we get to the fight, what would be wrong with treating these people with the ridicule and disdain that they have so richly earned and so richly deserve? Anybody follow Titania McGrath on Twitter? Titania McGrath, anybody follow her on Twitter? It's not a her. It's a guy, and he's from the UK. But he has created a character. You guys familiar with Poe's Law? Long story short, with Poe's Law, everything's pretty much beyond parody now. This Titania McGrath is a fictional character who spews the most bizarre, convoluted intellectual gymnastics to ever fucking come out of the woke movement. Only it's not coming out of the woke movement. It's a parody. It's a parody for shit that has grown beyond parody. And there's tons of accounts like that. Defiant L's holding their own bullshit right up to their face and giving it a good fucking face full of it. Find those accounts. Learn to laugh at the enemy. Ridicule is man's most potent weapon. There's a lot of fucking truth to that, people. A lot of truth. Don't be afraid to say it. Of course, rule number 8, keep the pressure on. Can't ever go too far for that. But those are just a few of the rules. Go through and read Saul Alinsky. Read your enemy. There's a Reverend Bart's rule of war for the upcoming resistance / revolution, whatever you want to call it. Read your enemy. How can you hold him to his own rule book if you don't even know what his own fucking rule book says? How can you understand the mindset of these people, no matter how depraved, no matter how completely run by intellectual gymnastics, no matter how convoluted, if you don't understand the mind of your enemy, how can you hope to fucking win? Saul Alinsky was a lot of things. Here's what he wasn't, was a warrior. Sun Tsu was a warrior. And this next rule that I'm going to give you from Sun Tsu is one that speaks directly to what I was talking about before about knowing. If you know the enemy and you know yourself, you need not fear the results of 100 battles. Get to know yourself if you don't already. You know, I emphasize it every week. Get in touch with your physical. Find your brain, your spine, your balls, and bring them all to the party. Know yourself, but know the mind of your enemy as well. Because if you don't know the mind of your enemy, you don't know what you're fighting. Who is the only man feared by the best swordsman in France? The worst swordsman in France. Because professionals are predictable. You don't know the mind of your enemy. You're dealing with an amateur. You don't know what the fuck he could throw at you. Learn your enemy's mind. Another one from Sun Tsu. The opportunity to secure ourselves against defeat lies in our own hands, but the opportunity of defeating the enemy is provided by the enemy himself. Ponder that. We have the power and ability to get ourselves strong, to steel our spines and our balls for the fight, to throw those knuckles up and throw the fuck down. We have the ability to do that. But as far as us defeating the enemy, when they have so many avenues at their disposal, and they control all the major social institutions, it'll be them that opens up the opportunity to hand them that big fucking defeat. They will be the ones to open it up. So for all of you guys getting black-pilled out there, know that the day is coming, because we're already seeing the openings. We're already seeing the chinks in the armor. That's where YouTube bans me for using the word chink. We're seeing the cracks in the armor. They will open it up. They will provide us the opportunity, and we will seize it, and we will take them to complete and utter defeat, and we will stomp them into obscurity to where they never fucking raise their heads again. Here's another warrior philosopher. Some of you guys may have heard of him, some may have not, but I'll give you two quotes that might want to make you go down this little rabbit hole from a man named Karl von Clausewitz. Two qualities are indispensable. First, an intellect that, even in the darkest hour, retains some glimmerings of the inner light which leads to truth. And second, the courage to follow this faint light wherever it may lead. That's a really deep way for old Carl to say, don't get black-pilled. Even in the darkest of times, you follow that light that leads to truth, and truth will light the way, and truth will set you free, and truth will piss you off, but ultimately truth will out. So you follow that fucking light, no matter where it leads, no matter what awful corners it takes you to, you follow that light to the bitter end. And one more from Clausewitz to go out on. Let us accept the risk of repaying cruelty with cruelty, of answering violence with more violence. It will be easy for us to overtake the enemy and to draw him back within the limits of moderation and humanity. That's almost Colonel Kurtz. I'd settle for Kurtz. But we have to accept the risk of repaying cruelty for cruelty. Speaking back to Saul Alinsky's rules, take them out of their area of expertise. They're not used to us behaving like what they consistently call us. And the first time those knuckles rock up against that jawbone, rock up against that fucking brachial, the first time that elbow goes crashing through the bridge of their nose and smashes their teeth to the back of their fucking neck, they will know. And these same people, these same maggots that have burned our cities, that have assaulted our people, that have sworn to bring about our end, these same maggots, once they feel that sting, I promise you, in the words of Clausewitz, it will be easy for us to overtake those enemies and draw him back within bounds of moderation and humanity. I promise you. At the end of the day, they are weak. At the end of the day, you have the option to be strong. So what do you say? We all let our balls drop. We steel our spines. We get those knuckles up. And we get ready for the fight. And when the time comes, we take it to them. And we leave them with a reminder of who we are that their descendants will talk about for the next 50 fucking years. I am the Reverend. That is the gospel. Appreciate you guys being here. Sorry, got a little dark, a little hostile. Actually, I'm not sorry for that at all. I'm not sorry for that at all. Denise, I'm glad you made it out. You'll catch the replay, and I think you'll appreciate it. All the people that showed up late, we got Tom, we got Joey, the Sultan of Sarcasm, Ray Topolsky. Oh, man, Roman showed up. Cool. Yeah, some of you guys came in late. I'm sorry if I didn't acknowledge you, man. I appreciate y'all being here. I really do. We only ran a couple of minutes over this week. I'm going to pass around that digital collection plate. If anything that I threw at you was new information, gave you a little bonus, something to look into or affected your life positively in any kind of way, you guys want to throw me some coin, it'd be fantastic. I'm on PayPal, I'm on Facebook Pay, I'm on Cash App, I'm on Venmo, I'm on all that good stuff. If you guys want to throw me some coin, that would be great. But if not, even if not, or if you're not in a position to throw me some coin, you can help me spread the word. Tell all you guys out there that might be like minds and kindred spirits, there's a fat, crazy, toothless cripple rants and raves every Sunday. You might get something out of the program, might be something that they enjoy. Tell them about the program, spread it on your own social media, man. If you got Twitter accounts, Facebook accounts, YouTube channels, repost some shit. You got my permission. You needed it? There it is. You got it. Repost it. Spread the word, man. All of my Reverends Rangers, all of my prophets of doom, all of my sinner sisters out there, I appreciate y'all being there. I really do appreciate y'all being there. Every single one of you. Don't forget, guys, you already know the drill, man. The 3 prime directives. Always strive to be the signal, not the noise, the light, the world full of darkness, and be that strength in a world full of weakness. I am the Reverend. That is the gospel. We'll see you next Sunday. Oh, man, we didn't get to do the t-shirt, man. Yes. Welcome to Planet Fuck. Paul Wagner, check him out online, man. Paul Wagner, follow him. Operation Werewolf isn't going anymore, but Paul Wagner is still online. Check it out. Please grab yourself a shirt like this. I know Aaron and fucking Kirk are out there definitely thinking about it. At the very end of the day, guys, we're winning. Stay strong. Let's bring it home, man. Let's bring it home. These people flexed. They gave it everything they had, and it wasn't enough. And they're finding out the hard fucking way. I think these parents are pissed about CRT in Virginia. Just wait till you see how pissed parents are going to be when they come to mandate vaccines for the kids. We'll get into that next Sunday. In the meantime, I love you guys. Peace. The Reverend, that is the gospel. We'll see you next Sunday. Thanks for coming out.